What's up everyone, welcome to Born at the Wrong Time, the series counting down the 100 worst years to be born. We're starting at number 99, the year 2000. On the surface it looked like a new era of hope and technology. But for millions born that year, it was the start of a generation shaped by broken promises, financial chaos, and the collapse of the first big tech dream. The year 2000 marked the beginning of a digital implosion that would quietly shape an entire childhood. Today, we'll break down how the Y2K scare fueled a tech frenzy, how the dot-com bubble soared, and how it all crashed, taking fortunes and futures with it. For those born in 2000, their entry into the world was a crash course in digital economics. Let's dive in. To understand why 2000 was such a tough year to be born, let's rewind to the late 1990s. The world was bracing for Y2K, the fear that computers would crash when the year rolled over. Governments and companies spent billions upgrading systems, fueling a tech boom. When January 1st, 2000 arrived and nothing catastrophic happened, faith in technology soared. This confidence supercharged the dot-com bubble. The internet felt like a gold rush. Investors threw money at anything with a dot-com in its name. Profits and business plans didn't matter, just hype and hope. The NASDAQ skyrocketed and media stories of instant millionaires fed the frenzy. People quit stable jobs for startups, poured savings into tech stocks, and believed the digital revolution would make everyone rich. Babies born in 2000 entered a world at the peak of optimism, but every bubble is fragile, filled with air, stretched thin by speculation. By March 2000, the NASDAQ hit an all-time high, more than doubling in a year. This growth was unsustainable. Valuations were detached from reality. A few insiders started to worry, but most people kept partying. For a baby born in early 2000, the world seemed golden, but what goes up must come down. The optimism of the new millennium was about to meet a harsh reality. The very technology that promised prosperity was about to trigger a massive collapse. The stage was set for a generation to be shaped by the fallout. The dot-com bubble was about to burst, and the consequences would last for years. For families, the dream of easy wealth was about to turn into a nightmare. The crash would define the economic landscape for the next decade. The world that awaited the class of 2000 was about to change forever. The countdown to disaster had begun. The digital utopia was a mirage, and the first cracks were already showing. Let's see what happened when the bubble popped. March 2000, the party ended. The dot-com bubble popped. It started with big tech companies selling off their own stock, triggering panic. Investors rushed to sell, and the NASDAQ plummeted. By year's end, it had lost over half its value, and it kept falling for 2 more years. Hundreds of companies collapsed. Pets.com, Webvan, eToys, once stars, now bankrupt. Silicon Valley became a ghost town. Office spaces emptied, dreams evaporated. The lesson, a website and hype weren't enough. Companies needed real profits. The crash hit ordinary families hard. Many had invested savings and retirement funds in tech stocks. When the market crashed, they lost everything. Retirement, college funds, life savings. Imagine being a new parent in 2000 watching your child's future security vanish overnight. The optimism of the millennium turned to fear and anxiety. The dot-com crash wasn't just financial, it was cultural trauma. Babies born in 2000 grew up in the shadow of this collapse. Their parents faced layoffs, financial stress, and a vanished job market. The national mood shifted from hope to caution. Easy credit dried up and the world became more precarious. The fallout lasted for years. The NASDAQ didn't recover until 2015. For the class of 2000, their entire childhood was shaped by a tech market in recovery. The foundation of their lives was built on the rubble of a digital dream. The crash's shockwaves would define their upbringing. The promise of prosperity was replaced by a lesson in fragility. The world they inherited was fundamentally changed. The dot-com bust was just the beginning. The next crisis was already on the horizon. For those born in 2000, stability was always just out of reach. Their story was one of resilience in the face of constant upheaval. The digital age had a dark side, and they lived it from day one. The crash was a warning. Technology alone couldn't guarantee a better future. And for this generation, that lesson would echo for years. The dot-com crash was just the start. The aftershock shaped the entire childhood of the 2000 generation. Economic stability vanished. Their world was defined by uncertainty. Then came 9/11s. Even as toddlers, they grew up in an era of fear, security lines, and global conflict. Wars drained resources, slowing economic recovery. Their early years were marked by economic collapse and national trauma. As they entered school, the Great Recession hit in 2008. Families lost jobs, homes, and hope. Again, kids saw friends move away, parents whisper about money, and neighborhoods change overnight. Instability became normal. Then came social media. The 2000 generation were the first true digital natives. Their adolescence played out on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok under constant pressure to perform and compare. Cyberbullying, social anxiety, and isolation became common. Technology promised connection but often delivered stress and loneliness. Just as they reached adulthood, COVID-19 hit. College, jobs, and independence were replaced by lockdowns and uncertainty. The pandemic capped a childhood of disruption. For the class of 2000, every stage of life brought a new crisis. Stability was a myth. Resilience was a necessity. Their path was relentless, one shockwave after another. This was the world they grew up in. Let's put a face to this story. Meet Daniel, born in April 2000. His dad was an IT project manager, thriving in the late 90s tech boom. Convinced by the hype, his parents invested heavily in tech stocks and bought a bigger house. Then the crash hit. The stocks tanked, bonuses vanished, and the dream evaporated. Daniel's mom had to go back to work just to keep up. Daniel remembers the tension, quiet arguments about bills, the house becoming a burden. By age 7, his family lost the house and moved to a small apartment. He learned early that nothing is permanent. Money was always a source of stress, no vacations, no extras, just survival. The Great Recession hit, and things got worse. More job losses, more anxiety. Daniel worked hard in school, hoping education would be his way out. He started college in 2019, finally feeling optimistic. Then COVID hit. He was sent home, college life replaced by Zoom calls in his childhood bedroom. His mom lost clients, his dad's pay was cut, and old anxieties returned. Daniel's story is one of millions, each crisis compounding the last. The dot-com crash, the Great Recession, and the pandemic created a chain reaction of instability. Now at 24, Daniel is cautious, anxious about debt, and skeptical of easy promises. His life has been a lesson in expecting the worst. This is the quiet legacy of being born in 2000. It wasn't one disaster, it was a relentless series. Each event shaped his outlook, his choices, and his future. Daniel's resilience is hard-won. For his generation, hope is always tempered by caution. Their story is still being written, but the scars of their upbringing run deep. So, what does it all mean? The year 2000 looked like a time of hope, but beneath the surface it was a turning point. Being born then meant starting life as a massive tech bubble burst, setting the tone for years of instability. The dot-com crash created a legacy of financial anxiety that shaped families and communities. Then came 9/11s, the Great Recession, and the rise of social media, each compounding the last. Just as this generation was ready to launch, COVID-19 pulled the rug out again. It was a relentless series of crises, each hitting at a critical stage. For the class of 2000, there was never a period of real stability. That's why 2000 lands at number 99 on our list of worst years to be born. The promise of a new millennium was broken at the start. Instead of prosperity, this generation got a gauntlet of challenges. They became skeptical, financially cautious, and digitally savvy because they had to be. They know the internet's dark side and economic fragility firsthand. Every generation faces challenges, but the sequence that began in 2000 was uniquely unforgiving. It was a glitch at the start of the millennium, a system error with lifelong consequences. The story of the 2000 generation is still unfolding. Their resilience may be their greatest strength, but their starting conditions were flawed. 2000 was a year of immense promise that gave way to immense challenge. And our countdown of the worst years to be born is just getting started. That's number 99, the year 2000, a year that began with hope and ended with a crash that shaped a generation. If you thought this was bad, wait for number 98, a year when the world shut down. The fallout from that year will shape our future for decades. Like, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Were you born in 2000? Did your family feel the dot-com crash? Share your story below. Next up, 2020, pandemic, isolation, global panic. Stay tuned.